What is going on, people? Nate Hornung here with betting news, and I am, for one, I'm getting very, very excited for the start of college football season, approaching very, very quickly as week 0 is just 1 week away. And in week 0, we're going to see a couple of Big 12 teams take the field for the first time to open up their college football season. So let's get into our official 2025 betting news Big 12 football conference preview, full of picks and predictions for the entire conference. Let's start by looking at the history of this conference, looking at the past few conference championship winners. For a long time, the Oklahoma Sooners had a stranglehold on this conference, winning every Big 12 conference championship from 2017 to 2020. But since then, we've had 4 different champions in the Baylor Bears, Kansas State Wildcats, the Texas Longhorns, who are no longer in the Big 12. They've moved on to the SEC. And finally, the Arizona State Sun Devils, who surprised everybody last season by not only making the Big 12 conference championship, but winning it and moving on to the college football playoff. Will the Sun Devils repeat this season? That is up for debate as we look at the odds board, starting with just the overall odds for Big 12 teams to win the entire thing. Odds for the Big 12 teams to win the entire National Football Championship. And as they should, they're not really getting a lot of love. There's no love for these Big 12 teams, as you have the 3 highest teams on the odds board, all priced at 100 to 1 plus 10,000 to win the college football national championship this season. Those 3 teams would be the Kansas State Wildcats, the Utah Utes, and the Texas Tech Red Raiders. A little bit further down that list, we do have the Arizona State Sun Devils at 125 to 1, followed by the TCU Horned Frogs at 150 to 1, and then both the Baylor Bears and Iowa State Cyclones at 200 to 1. Now, Iowa State, a team that could be frisky as they made it to the Big 12 championship last season, losing to those Arizona State Sun Devils. But could they reload with Rocco Becht and Matt Campbell coaching these Cyclones? I'm not too sure if they'll be the top of the league this season. But let's get into the odds just to make the college football playoff. We see the Utah Utes kind of down there a little further at plus 425, with Kansas State having the best odds just to make the 12-team playoff, currently at BetOnline at plus 375, and Arizona State there sitting at 4 to 1. Further down that list, you have the Texas Tech Red Raiders at plus 450, Baylor and Iowa State a little bit further down, and even TCU at plus 775. But what's interesting to me is teams have a better odds to make the college football playoff than they do to win the Big 12 conference championship, which makes sense considering it is easier to make that 12-team field rather than win your conference championship. However, my advice to you when betting the Big 12, if you like a team to simply make the 12-team college football playoff, I think you should bet them to win the Big 12 conference for a multitude of reasons, one of which being the odds are going to be better. Looking at the odds to win the Big 12 championship, we have Utah on board at plus 475, top of the list there, followed by Texas Tech at plus 550, Kansas State at 6 to 1, and Arizona State at plus 650. A few more down the list, Baylor at 700, TCU at 900, Iowa State at 11 to 1, Kansas at 14 to 1, and BYU at 16 to 1. There's no clear-cut favorite when it comes to the Big 12. No team is going to be head and shoulders above the rest like we might see in the SEC and the Big 10. So if you like a team to simply make the college football playoff, my advice would be to just take them to win the Big 12 conference championship, because like last season, the Big 12 is likely just a one-bid team. I'm not sure there's an argument there for the Big 12 runner-up to get in over the 4th, maybe even 5th place team in the SEC, because the committee loves the SEC, it loves SEC football, and it's going to reward those teams for playing a tougher conference schedule, because let's be honest, the Big 12 is simply not that good of a Power 4 conference in football. So if you like a team to win the if you like a team to just make the college football playoff, the 12-team college football playoff, just bet them to win the Big 12 conference. Now, let's get into my favorite picks of this conference, and we'll break down some of the teams along the way. Starting with who I think is going to finish number 10th in the conference, the Cincinnati Bearcats. There's a lot of hype surrounding Brendan Sorsby this season. He returns after leading the Cincinnati Bearcats to a 5-2 start last year, but they did lose 5 straight to end the season, and they missed the bowl game. So Sorsby returns. There is some hype around this Bearcats team, but I'm not sure that I totally see it. They do still have a defensive unit that has to replace both corners and their strong safety in the secondary. Next up, we got Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes, who I think will finish 9th in the Big 12. They move on. Life after Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter begins for the Colorado Buffaloes, but they got a great QB in Liberty transfer Caden Salter, ready to lead the offense. He threw for nearly 4,000 yards with a 47-12 touchdown to interception ratio last season. He also added over 1,600 yards on the ground and 19 rushing TDs over the past 2 seasons. If Caden Salter doesn't do it, they do have highly touted freshman Julian Lewis ready to roll, but I think Salter will be that starting quarterback for the Buffaloes. Next up at number 8, I have the TCU Horned Frogs finishing next. Josh Hoover, he is the quarterback at TCU. He returns 9 of 11 offensive starters as well with 2 new pass catchers, and the defense returns plenty as well. But TCU has a bit of a tougher schedule, one of the toughest schedules in all of college football, let alone the Big 12. They do have a couple of toss-ups against ACC opponents on their non-conference schedule, so I'm kind of out on the TCU Horned Frogs, not as high on them as some people might be this season. Next up, we have the Baylor Bears, who I think will finish number 7 in the Big 12. And this actually leads me to my first win total bet of the conference. I've got the Baylor Bears going under 7.5 wins at -115. Yes, Baylor, the Bears under 7.5 wins, led by Dave Aranda. I don't have faith in this guy. I do not have faith in a Dave Aranda-led squad. Even a team that ended the year on a 6-game winning streak, sure, that might have instilled some confidence in quarterback Sawyer Robinson, who had over 3,000 yards and 28 touchdowns last season. They do return plenty of offensive starters, but there's much more faith in the Bears in the market than I have personally. Looking at their schedule, they've got to host SEC rival Auburn in week 1 and then go to SMU in back-to-back weeks to start the season. Sure, they might get a cheap one against Samford, but then it's go time in the Big 12, and you've got to host Arizona State, Kansas State, Utah. You got to go to TCU and Cincinnati, which could be coin flips as well. It's just a very, very tough schedule for the Baylor Bears, and I do not have faith in them for another 8-win season. So Dave Aranda and the Baylor Bears under 7.5 wins at -115 is my favorite win total bet in the Big 12. Next up, at number 6, I have the Kansas Jayhawks finishing 6th. I had thoughts of putting them number 5, but I'm going to leave my bias out of it, be a little more realistic. Jalen Daniels, one of the oldest players in college football, back to quarterback for the Jayhawks for another season. He's got plenty of injury concerns, but he does have plenty of talent as well. They've got some new pieces on offense, including new running back LaShawn Williams. He ran for 821 yards in 2023 for the Iowa Hawkeyes before Caleb Johnson took over. They also bring in wide receiver Bryson Canty, came over from Columbia with 46 receptions for 760 yards last season. They got to go to Mizzou early and reignite the border war, which could be a tough one, but I think the Jayhawks will still be one of the better teams in the Big 12 this season. Next up at number 5, I have the Iowa State Cyclones, Matt Campbell and Rocco Becht, looking to get back there into the Big 12 Conference Championship. They've got to replace some stud wide receivers who both are now at the Houston Texans, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, but Rocco Becht is there. The rest of the defense is set for a good season as well, so the Cyclones could be frisky, but I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year. Next up at number 4, the Utah Utes. I think their defense is going to take them as far as they can go, but there is some excitement surrounding new quarterback Devin Dampier coming in from the transfer portal to revamp this offense. He threw for 2,700 yards and ran for another 1,100 last season with 31 total touchdowns. But the problem is he had as many interceptions as he did passing touchdowns. So the man can make plays with his legs, but the decision-making with the arm might be a bit of a question mark. Regardless, the Utah Utes defense will take them plenty far in this conference. Next up, a team plenty of people are high on, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. They're bringing in the number 2 transfer class in the nation. They're ready to make some waves. Running back Quentin Joyner comes over from USC. He ran for 478 yards and 3 touchdowns while backing up Woody Marks last season, ready to be that lead back for the Red Raiders who look to replace Taj Brooks. Texas Tech, they got new transfers on the offensive line. They're all upperclassmen and plenty have veteran experience. Defensively, you've got a new front four that's looking to wreak havoc in the Big 12. So I think Texas Tech could be a force to be reckoned with in the conference. Last 2 teams. Next up is the Arizona State Sun Devils. No more Cam Scadaboo, but Sam Livett, you've still got him. You've still got Kenny Dillingham turning this program into a national contender. So the Sun Devils, I think, are going to be right there with you. They've got Army transfer Kanye Udo set to replace Scadaboo at the running back position. He ran for 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns last season at Army. Should be prone to take over that role as the RB1 for the Sun Devils. They do have to play Utah and Iowa State on the road, as well as heading to Mississippi State, which might be an easier game, but it's still an SEC rival. But Arizona State should be right back in the conference championship. I have them in the Big 12 conference championship, but I do have them losing to this team. My pick to win the Big 12 this season is the Kansas State Wildcats. I've sprinkled on them at plus 650 to win the Big 12 title. You're returning plenty of veterans. You've got Avery Johnson at quarterback. You've got Dylan Edwards at running back, who might be the best running quarterback-running back tandem in the conference. Now, we don't know if this guy can throw, but he's got a lot of new pass catchers to do so. He also has some returning pass catchers as well as wide receiver Jace Brown and tight end Garrett Oakley set to lead the offense, as well as new true freshman tight end Lincoln Cure, who was touted as the top tight end prospect in the nation this season, set to make an immediate impact on offense. Now, defensively, the Kansas State Wildcats should be just fine, and they've got a fairly easy schedule. Yes, they are going to start off in Dublin, Ireland, playing the Iowa State Cyclones in week 0. But as far as tough teams in the Big 12, you only have to travel to Utah and you host Texas Tech. After that, you got to play Baylor, TCU, Kansas, but all those really should be wins if Kansas State handles business. So ultimately, I do think this conference is wide open, but I think the Big 12 is going to be run by the Kansas State Wildcats this year. So K-State to win the Big 12 conference championship at plus 650. And of course, the Baylor Bears under 7.5 wins are my 2 favorite bets regarding the Big 12 this season. Appreciate you guys stopping by, listening, and getting all the knowledge about the Big 12 for this upcoming college football season. Follow myself, Nate Hornung, on X at Shaggy_bets. Check us out at bettingnews.com and see everything we have to offer for all your sports betting needs. Appreciate you guys stopping by. We'll see you on the next one.